And just like that, we're live. Starla played the debate show, Matchday 3. Myself, Theo, got a full house, Basil, Damon, Kojo. How we doing, lads? How we doing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
no,
man. Good.
I'm doing good. A slight buckle on my team on the weekend, but I can't complain. Had a successful hate watch the day after, so so all good.
I love that we call him a hate watch. I love that we call him hate
Yeah,
watch.
love it.
Kojo, we're gonna get on to United in a minute. Obviously, thank you for joining us.
What's there to talk about?
There's a lot to talk about. That's the problem. But before we get into that, if you're watching this after the live stream, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the links in the description as well. Like the video, subscribe, share the videos, and all of that stuff as well. But we are going to talk about the previous weekend that's just gone. Well, not all of the Premier League results, but the majority of them. We're going to talk about a couple of them. We are going to start, obviously, the big game, Old Trafford, Mo Trafford. Liverpool 3, Manchester United. It should have been 4 to be. It could have been 4-5. But Liverpool 3, United 0. I'm going to give it over to Kojo first. I want to hear what Kojo has to say in terms of, could be short and sweet. It could be therapy time for
Yeah,
Kojo. So I'm going to
yeah.
hand the floor to
Before he
him.
starts, do we need to have the violins playing in the background, Kojo?
I've got one in my pocket. Let me
Hey,
just get it out.
hey, I'm not.
Take
Listen, I'm
its
not.
time
That's what I'm
for
not
it.
you after an Arsenal loss, boy. Trust me, I'm in the same page. Okay.
The floor is yours, man. I'm going to leave Damon to just brew. He's got his cup of tea there. He's got a cup of tea if anyone is watching. So
Oh,
I'm going to let him
cheers.
brew.
I got my Fanta here. Cheers. Um,
Go for it,
He
man.
got something
honestly,
stronger. He got something stronger.
I mean, I'm a soft drink guy, so that's what I need, really.
You're a soft drink team, mate. You're a soft drink team.
Yeah, that makes sense. To be fair. Um, Look, okay. Before we go on United, we'll give the winners their praise because they didn't have to even be good, but they were good, and they took their chances when they needed to, and they won the game fair and square. They were deserving winners. They were the better team. From I think since they scored their goal, Man United had sort of had the energy with the fans in the first 18 to 20 minutes, and then they scored the goal that was still without for offside because Salah had a little touch. But then they got the goal eventually through Les Diaz, and then from there it was plain sailing. So when they give their due. Now I don't even know where you guys want me to start with these guys. What I will say is everything that I have said will come to fruition. Unfortunately, I'm sitting here saying that I'm right. Signing new players doesn't change who's at the helm and what he does, his behaviors, his his choices in terms of selections, his choices in terms of subs. Some of the players that he's selecting have not been informed for about 18 to 24 months. Um, but he keeps picking them. It's got to the point where I can't find any words to sort of be like, oh, but he done this and he done that. Someone came with the angle of I think when we played Liverpool last at Old Trafford, I think they had like 60-70% possession, and Man United dominated possession. If you look at the final stats, we had more possession than Liverpool, and we had conceded less shots and all that. I was like, yeah, that's lovely, but you lost 3-0. So what does that mean? I don't understand when we want to do that information. That's like, oh yeah, you know, I broke up with one girl, and I linked up a nicer one, but I'm still single. All right, so what progress did we make here, mate? Um, it's just another one of those things where you just go into a game and me and Damon were gonna do a preview, and I started by actually talking about where Liverpool can hurt Man United, and then he started going on about where he thinks Liverpool can hurt Man United. He was going to go on about where we could potentially hurt them, and we got cut off. But I think we were along the same lines of knowing that Salah's going to be having another day, Trent, and the midfield. And I didn't think about Gravenberch, who by the way was fantastic. I was thinking about more about McAllister, who is also a brilliant midfield. He had a good game as well, of course, but Gravenberch was running the show. But it's the same old with United, same old with Ten Hag. I've already said that even after the cup final, he had to go. Look, it gets to a point where I'll put it to you guys like this: he signed Euro's injured, so Euro can't play. He signed Delict, Xerxes, and didn't play them in the first game until later on when Xerxes came off the bench and scored the winning goal. And his reward was starting on the bench in the second game as was the Ligt. Um, and then United lose against Brighton, and then he decides, of course, to start the Ligt and Xerxes finally. But then what he does is drop the player who was one player of the month for you in Ahmad onto the bench. Guys, 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 we're dealing with a fool here. We're dealing with a fool. This is what it is. We're dealing with a fool. We call this the bold Dutch derby, and there's only one bold Dutchman
I'm a,
winning right now.
I'm a bit surprised because also he's not giving Anthony a chance. I thought you would have mentioned
No,
him.
we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
No,
We're not doing
no,
that.
no.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Let me
We're
get
not
the
doing that.
let me get the violin out again. Let me get the
We're
violin.
not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that today. We're not doing that today. Listen, Basil. I can't see you, but I can see you. We're not doing that today. Yeah.
The thing is, though, John, the maddest thing is, I don't get. You know, when I look at, like, I can talk about Chelsea, I can talk about Tottenham, and we're all probably in the same kind of mess for other reasons and different reasons, or probably similar reasons. But you see, United, I don't get it. I
What
don't
don't you
get
get?
it. I don't get what you're trying to do on the pitch. I don't get it. I don't get
Oh
the
no, because there's been no plan.
yeah, yeah.
Look. I was asked today about Rashford and right, why do I think he's had a dip in form after a good first year? Man United came out after Ole and got a man who essentially played the same style. It was a counter-attacking thing, and it worked. It worked with Rashford. And then when I say, fetch football, woof woof football, I'm not. It sounds banterous, but I'm deadly serious. Man United are using Rashford as essentially a. I'm going to hit the ball long, and you're going to run for that, man, my friend. Go and get that ball. That's the kind of football that they've gone from one to the other, and it doesn't work.
Do you think he's just burnt out now, though? In terms of he looks like he's lost a yard of pace. He just
Yeah,
looks burnt out at the start of the season. You're only 3 games
You
in,
can't
and
you can't expect consistency from players when you don't have a consistent environment around you. For all of Eric, of all of the mess which FSG do for Liverpool, at least they had a manager who was certified in his ways and knew what he was doing from start to finish. So as the squad progressed and got better, the methods stayed the same. At least they knew what they're dealing with. In United, they don't allow. And listen, not that I want Ten Hag to stay, but they don't allow continuity in a manager. So Rashford has come in and he came under Val. He's had Mourinho, he's had Carrick, he's had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's had Eric Ten Hag. You know what I mean? Like there's no, and they're all different as well. Different styles, different philosophies. So there's not one level of continuity. I'm not saying Slot and Klopp are the same, but at least when you're seeing the football, there isn't too much difference. I think what the difference is that when Liverpool smelt blood under Klopp, they go for 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what I mean? Whereas with Slot, they're a bit, I want to say laid back, but it's a bit more composed. They slow the ball down a little bit when they want to, and then they can hit you and kill you when they want to, kind of thing. But there's continuity there, and there's a squad there that has had continuity for years. So even though they lost Firmino and Mane, behind them, you still had Ederson, you still had Van Dijk. Your spine has remained. And when you lost in midfield, you built one quickly, gave it a year to work out, and now you can see the thing moving. And you don't get that. United do this. They have players that are inconsistent that have been there for years or just injury prone, and then they bring in new players who they hope will be the saviors. Hope the Ligt will instantly improve the defense, like that. Same for Martinez, like that. They're hoping that Ugarte will solve the Casemiro problem, and Casemiro had a shocker, came off, and nothing changed. Like,
yeah. But do you reckon that's down to who they brought on? The youngster, I can't remember his name now.
no, it's because no matter who they bring on, there's no plan. It doesn't look like they know what they're doing. There's no structure there. Collier is a defensive midfielder who was creating chances up front for Xerxes. Are you like Casemiro is supposed to be your number 6 against Fulham? He was creating the most chances for you in the game. So clearly, there is no idea as to where people should be. The players are going on the pitch and they're freestyling. We're doing Tony Hawk, we're doing SSX on PS1. You know what I mean? We're snowboarding and just doing skills in the air, moving the sticks anyhow. And then when we get close to the floor, we say, "Oh wait, I need to stop." That's what we're doing here. You know what I mean? So look, I could go on and on. This is just something that I've known for a long time. But when it goes to a big game like this, it screams at you because people maybe when they lose to a smaller side, it's more of the banterous side, but they're like, oh, United have the same issues. When it comes to a Liverpool or a City, instead of talking about the winners, we're listening to Gary Neville and Jimmy Carragher screaming at each other for half an hour about what's wrong with United, and they don't realise that after 5 years they're still screaming about the same damn things.
I don't think Carragher is though. I think Carragher's trying to talk sense into Neville. Like from what I listened to the other day.
But Carragher does the same thing with nonsense for Liverpool, because when Neville tells him that FSG need to go, he now comes to do defence. They're both nonsensical people for either side.
No,
It's easier when you are criticising the ops, because you can see the problem.
You can't look in the mirror and face your own problems at the same time.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
I hear you.
And it's nice with Liverpool because he's got a team that he can look at and say they're good, but he refuses to admit that these guys, as good as Liverpool have been, Liverpool can be even greater if these guys don't hold them back. He struggles with that fact. And whilst Neville can go and say what he says about Man United ownership, he gets on the players, but not as much as he should do. He still holds back. He's still holding back. He should be telling them, guys, this is not, he should be like Patrice ever telling them, listen, if I was in the dressing room, I'll slap them. You know what I mean? Because that's what they need. They'll slap. But look, it's same old, man. So look, congratulations to Liverpool, but nothing changes United, man.
I did find it funny when Gary Neville said, he was talking about Rashford, about something. He said, the young lad Rashford. I had to go and Google how old Rashford was. I thought Rashford was still like 19. Like, he's talking about, he's 27. You can't call him a young lad anymore. He should be one of the leaders in that team now. He should be at the peak of his career, the one that you kind of build the team around, or you want to make something happen in the game. And we still talk about him like he just broke through the squad like last year. So
can I ask you guys a question? Because I mean, Liverpool, Damon will know for Liverpool, and he knows like how they built squads around players and had their spine, right? I'm not trying to defend Rashford by any means before anyone thinks I am. But do you expect a player to have a squad built around him, and know what the plan is when year after year things keep changing?
Not built around him, but I'd expect to see more.
Or be part of the plan. Be part of the major plan.
He's got to do more, man. He's got to
do more. He's got to do more. There's self-responsibility, absolutely. But then we have to also put in the other factors that happen around. If you go into training and not knowing what's going to happen, and that's under whichever manager you want to go under, because he's had a good year under Mourinho and then one bad one. He had a good year under Ole and then one average one. And he had a fantastic year, his best ever year as a United player under Ten Hag, and then he had one horrendous year. And the problems keep happening, and these managers keep talking about the ownership, and you now hear Ten Hag has been beefing about losing Scott McTominay, and he wanted Amrabat, and they said no, and now he's at Fenerbahce. Like, so even as a player, you come into training, you don't know, your manager doesn't know where he's going. The squad doesn't know where they're going, they're coming or going. So you as yourself, even if you should go out there,
he's still got to take some of the ownership though. He's still got to pay himself.
Absolutely,
do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You can't.
He should do.
That's what I think anyway. But
no, you're right. He should do. But again, if you come to an environment and you don't know who you're playing with week in and week out, what do you do? Me personally, I don't think he should be benched anyway. He's been in crap form for far too long. But that's another conversation.
what does Basil? What did Damon? What do you think?
What do I think of what?
About
he's enjoying his cup up.
I know exactly. About Rashford. Should Rashford be doing more? Is it wrong to kind of criticize and single him out?
I don't think it's not right to criticise. He needs criticising because at the end of the day, it's professional football. Everyone needs criticising, but I think it's a mentality thing with him. If he just got down his head and he fights back to fans, doesn't he, a lot, and he's like this and that and that. Just fucking get on with it, man. Get your head down. Be a professional football. You won't see the likes of Roy Keane do this back in the day, where if you've got abuse from fans, they just get on with it and move on. Then that sets from the class players to the world class players is that mindset. And if he doesn't sort that out, then he's never going to become what he thinks he is, really. Because when you're going up against people like Salah, who's doing it consistently every single season, even like Heung-min Son and other wingers like that, you can't have the same consistency. You can't do it. Like you said, you saw it being classed like a few times, and then season after just being absolutely dreadful. You can't keep. Obviously, there needs structure around him, but at the end of the day, there's players been in the past where they've had shit teams around them and they've done well. it literally is all mentality with him. I think he's a decent player in there, but he needs to sort himself out big time. And it's going to be too late by the time he does sort himself out.
He's 27 now, isn't it? So
27
it's
is
now or
just-
never. It's now or never.
What you saying, Basil? You kind of agreeing or disagreeing with what's been said so far?
No, I kind of agree. Some of it comes down to mentality. It's a combination of a few things. One, football education, and two, just having the right manager to guide him and utilize his abilities. Because the issue you have with Rashford is I've never rated Rashford wholly as a player, because I think the two things that for me stand out is his football intelligence at times. So some of the decision making he makes during the games, whether to pass, whether to hold on to the ball for too long, is quite atrocious. And then sometimes his end product. His end product is just so inconsistent. And this comes from football education. Now, Rashford is a frustrating player because he has the attributes, which is where people have the frustration with. But he's never, ever put it together properly. We've seen glimpses of it during his career, but he's never put it down. And I don't understand these modern day footballers, because if I look back before the generation before him, you see players with the talent kind of flourishing and developing as years go by. And I've found with this generation, there isn't that desire to improve themselves. And you can tell sometimes when they're criticized, the response is back. Like, for instance, when Nicholas Jackson, John Obi Mikel talks about, oh, his finishing is poor, Chelsea will look for a new striker. You saw his reaction telling him to shut up, instead of him to actually listen to what he's saying, look at his weaknesses and work on it in the training ground. And I think that epitomizes this generation in terms of Rashford has the attributes, but has never. I just feel he doesn't do enough in the training ground to kind of put it all together. And you look at someone like Ronaldo, who was a supremely talented player when he joined Man United, but at some point it clicks. And it goes back to what Damon is saying, mentality. It clicks and he says, oh, I don't just want to be good. I want to be great. I want to be remembered as one of the legends in the game. And you hear about how he talks about he goes into the training ground, or even hear what his peers says, goes back to the training ground, puts in the hard work, the hard shift to work on all the things that he deems as weaknesses, and look at the player he becomes. I don't think from an assumption, I don't get that from Rashford, that he wants to improve himself. And then my final point, going back to the managers, I don't think any managers kind of find a way to kind of help Rashford improve. Personally, I think what they've done is they've kind of hung him out there to kind of allow him to try and figure it out without providing him with guidance. And I think sometimes this is where you kind of need managers to kind of be coaches too, to be able to coach players and educate them on certain things as to, this is going wrong, try doing this. This is where you need to improve yourself. I'm an Arsenal fan. I look back at Wenger, and I look back at when I hear some of the players and how they talk about Wenger, and Wenger educating them on certain things to make them become a much better player. And I think Rashford hasn't really had that throughout his career. Someone to kind of sit him down, spot his weaknesses, and help coach him to be better at the things he's not currently doing well on a consistent basis. So I think it's a combination of things, and it's just frustrating because he does have the attributes, but he just hasn't put it together.
So interesting. I agree with everything everyone said so far. I think it's a combination of things, and I think he's definitely got a player in there, and he's got to apply his best qualities better, but also learn on things that he's got weaknesses in, and be able to build the capability on them as well. So I think there's a mixture of things in there, but not just to single him out, because I think Casemiro was really poor on Sunday.
He's been hung up and dry, man.
I was going to say what Kojo.
That whole structure in the midfield. No. I'm not. Again, this is not absolving blame of him. He had a shocker. His pass for the first goal, horrendous. Losing the ball for the second goal, horrendous. Like responsibility should be taken again.
100%, man.
This is why I made that point about the second half and it not being better after he went off, because when there's no structure, see, look, okay, I'm not. When I say these things, it's not a defense. When he played in Real Madrid, and obviously the quality was a lot higher, but when he played in Real Madrid, Modric and Kroos. But regardless of who was next to him, everyone knew what their role is. Everyone knew where they should be. Everyone knew what they're doing, so their position and the role and everything they had to play. They knew where they had to be. You know what the game was in that midfield, right? At United, and you can go back to Matic, Herrera, Schneiderlin, Pogba, who should have Fellaini. Is there anyone else I've forgotten? I'm sure I've forgotten lots of people. The one thing that we've complained about since 2014 to 2024, it's a 10-year anniversary, guys. It's a 10-year anniversary. We're here now. See, I'm doing Eddie Murphy fingers for the people that can't see me. Eddie Murphy fingers. We're here. Yeah, it's a 10-year anniversary, guys. Yeah, we've always spoken about one thing in Man United's midfield, and it's the structure. Why is there always such a big gap? Why is there a gap between this and that? There's no gap between the midfield and the defense. And when the goalkeeper has the ball, the defenders are not showing for the ball. If you're supposed to be passing the ball at the back, you got a passing goalkeeper like Onana. It's because there's no structure there, and this has been an issue throughout. And this is the point I'm trying to make about the players. And I keep saying I will never take away self-responsibility, because when you make individual errors, they're for you to analyze. It's for you to look and say, what did I do wrong? Absolutely. But if your team does not have a structure set, so when you go on the pitch, you know where you're supposed to be in and out of possession, things like Liverpool are going to continue to happen. And it's just a recycle. Like what you asked me the question earlier, Vio, you said you don't know what United are doing. What are they trying to do? I'm telling you right now, 80% of the players are also asking themselves, what the hell am I supposed to be doing here? Am I supposed to be here? Is there a player supporting me?
That's a concern.
Manu and Casemiro are partners, and when you look at when they lose possession, one is in Ghana and the other one is in South Africa. Bro, it's baffling. But look, it's just you're gonna see more of it. It's just what happens. Man United win games is because the other teams just don't take their chances, and you're gonna see more of that this season. That's what it is, man.
Well, Liverpool certainly took their chances, so we've got to credit them for that. They done well. They played some really good football. Damon, what was your thoughts from a Liverpool perspective in terms of United's downfall, but obviously something that Liverpool was able to take very much advantage of?
What happened Sunday was pretty much like a guy coming round to your house, taking his shoes off, putting on your slippers, going upstairs, running a bath, taking your towel out, enjoying a nice big shit before the bath, quick brush of the teeth before his bath as well, get out the bath, use literally all the shampoo and the soap that's left, you've got nothing left, putting on your clothes and just walking back out of the house, fresh as a daisy.
So a scrounger.
Basically, pretty much like a squatter. Like a squatter coming around, just doing his business in your house and then leaving. Fully fed and everything. That's what pretty much happened. One thing I will say for my United fans, if they do, what is going wrong at the moment in terms of, obviously the Glazers above, not good. Getting them out as perfect start and starting to ease out like the problems at the club in terms of players as well. But Ten Hag is a major, major problem. You talk about Casemiro making a mistake. Manu made a mistake against McAllister, got bumped off. Dillett made a mistake. And Arnott, I'm not even going to say about him. There's nothing in that guy.
No, please, I don't even
know how he's even a keeper. I can't understand it.
Elaborate.
The guy can't shot stop.
When Salah scored his goal, I'm going to scream.
Positioning is poor.
His awareness as a keeper is shocking. Yeah. His awareness as a keeper is shocking.
And it's mad because David De Gea would probably save a lot of those shots that were at him the other day.
It'd have kept him in it. But what really outed Man United was not the game itself, was the 2 minutes that Arne Slot talked after the game. It basically brought down how United were easy to beat. He even said like Casemiro had made the mistake, but the reason why I capitalised on that is because your fullbacks were bombing forward and you left massive gaps at the back. Yeah. He kept Salah and Diaz high up on the wings, knowing that was going to happen. He knew that was going to happen. Hence the goals. The goals came from wide areas because we capitalised on the holes that Ten Hag's tactics left. And Gary Neville and Roy Keane had an argument about this, and Gary Neville said, well, that's not wrong with that tactic. And Keane said, hang on a second, when we were playing, there's no way my back to goal of that, you would have been bombing upfield. There's no way. And Gary Neville said, yes, I was. I couldn't believe what Gary Neville said. I said, yes, I was. And Keane was like, no, you wasn't, Gary. He wasn't doing that. Ten Hag, he's been there 3 years now, and yet like we're saying, we can't see a style. You can have shit players, right, and see styles. I've seen teams play in lower league of lower league football have a style of play. You can see the style of play. You saw even like going back to Brendan Rodgers when he was Swansea manager in Championship. You saw that style of play at that point. When Klopp took over at Liverpool, straight away people say, it took Klopp 4 years to win the Premier League. It took Klopp 3 years to get into the Champions League final. He had a fucking shit ass team. He came in with carriers, fucking Lovren at back. You know what I'm saying? They only had Coutinho and Firmino that were there really at that point. But instantly, in the first 2 months of him being there, you could see a style of play, see what he wanted to do, especially if he got the players that to do it even better. The fact that I can't see still yet, I don't know what Ten Hag style of play is. Is it counter-attack football? Is it possession? I haven't actually a clue. It changes every single week. And Slot coming in now, and I can't see Slot's style of play has been three games. Three, professional sort of proper games, and I can see a style of play with Slot. It's possession based. It's trying to control games. It's a bit more overload in terms of attack as well. That's scary for Man United. The fact that I do think there's going to be a change at Man United quick because because Ratcliffe's a Man United fan. It'll hurt them more. I mean, I can't see KJ's face, but
I'm thanking God.
He's thanking God.
I can't see KJ's face because at the end of the day, I think Ratcliffe will change him immediately because he wanted to change him in the summer. He wanted him out. And I think it won't be long before, but it shouldn't take that so long. It shouldn't take loss after loss after loss for him to do that. I don't think. But again, who do you get out there? I mean, Tuchel possibly. If you go for Tuchel, there's a chance for there with that. But
thing is, he got a new deal, so I think they're going to give him time. He's got a new. Is it a 2-year deal he got now or something like that? So they're going to give him time. I think he's got till Christmas.
They could go back to Pochettino.
I think Ruud van Nistelrooy. I think that's why he was brought in. Said that, I think, to Kojo, or I think I said it to someone. I think he was brought in for that reason. Just because it's a bit mad that he's there. Obviously, he knows the connection between Ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooey already. Ruud van Nistelrooy knows the club. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in, even on an interim basis till the end of the season or something like that. Come November, December. I think that would be the time you want to sack your manager. I hate seeing manager get sacked after the transfer window shuts in the winter window. I think if you want to sack a manager, do it before the winter window. You might not bring anyone in, but you might bring a player in on loan, or you might start getting your ideas together for who you might bring in the summer. Start trying to offload 1 or 2 players in the winter window. So I think for me, it would make sense to bring in someone that's going to fit how the team is set up, or the players that you've got right now, I should say. I don't know. I do worry about United, but...
So I don't know how Damon felt about when Slot came in, because I'm not sure what you felt about Slot, if you knew how much you knew about him, because I wasn't really watching Eredivisie last year to really have an opinion. But we've obviously spoken about how there's no plan at United. The difficulty whether you're an interim or a permanent coming in is if these players have not performed well for God knows how long and haven't had a plan. How do you implement that confidently with the personnel that you have, apart from obviously the newer players? That's the question. But me personally, I think if Ruud comes in, Rashford is done. Players like that are done.
Yeah,
Rashford
that's what it needs, though. Like that's what
exactly.
Rashford needs that makeup call.
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
That's why I like Maresca. I know people. It's early days for him, but if he doesn't like the player or he doesn't think the player's going to fit how he wants to play, he's not playing you. You're not playing.
Starts the same.
You're not training with the first team.
Yeah.
You're out. So, and I know it's harsh reality to a lot of these players, and Chelsea probably a bad example because a lot of them are on 6, 7, 8 year death row contracts. But the point I'm making is that if you're not in his team, you're not playing. You're not training with us. You better go find a club to go and quickly get a club and find one before the window shuts, because you're not in my plans. And I think it needs someone to come in and do that to a lot of these United players. And like you just said then, Damon, as well, about Endo. Arsenal, they wanted to get rid of Nketiah. They were determined to get rid of him. He ended up at Palace. Like, sometimes you got these players feel like they've got the ball in their court all the time, and for majority of the time they have, but when you realize there's an international tournament coming up or something coming up that you want to be part of and you represent your country, and the manager saying, you're not in my plans, and I've got a 3-year deal like Sterling, then you better find a club quick, because if you don't, you ain't kicking ball with us. And you're going to be sat there at Cobham with the under 21s, the development squad. It ain't going to look good for you. So I think it needs someone like that to come in and do what they've done. And Arne Slot, I think, has come in and he's done an amazing job at Liverpool so far. I think he's come in, he's not changed too much. There was obviously going to be a lot of pressure, whoever came in, but he's been able to stamp his own little authority and done his own little thing. And he's lucky that he's started the season well, because I think had he hadn't, then obviously we're talking a whole different story. But he started the season well. There's still time for them to have bumps in the road for Liverpool. I'm sure they will. Every club's going to have that this season. But so far, so good, I think, for Liverpool. And they look frightening going forward. Diaz has hit the good form. Jota hits good form. There's still a question mark for me about Gakpo, but Salah, you know what Salah's going to give you as well. So I can't fault them, man.
One second. Can we put some respect on this guy's name as well, Mohamed Salah? I
think we all respect
this guy's
him,
the
though.
great. And no,
Yeah,
I'm not saying
why
you
do you
guys.
respect?
I'm saying there's a lot of disrespect for this guy in terms of general, proper media, mainstream media and things like that. This guy's the greatest winger that ever play in this league.
Oh, that's
it, and that's
Sorry, I lost connection there.
this
What did you say?
guy.
Did you actually?
No, seriously, I
This
lost connection
guy.
there. What did you say?
Said he's the greatest winger in the Premier League.
Nah,
Which
And
I
I'm
know,
being
man.
deadly serious now.
No,
This
but
guy, right,
actually-
honestly, is now in the talk of being like up there with Steven Gerrard in terms of Liverpool legend.
Yeah, for Liverpool, yeah, 100%.
No, I'm talking Premier League as well. No, this guy's numbers is just ridiculous. This guy's come in and Nah.
Sophia, who would you say has been a better winger?
No, I'm
When
not.
we look at these
I'm not disagreeing with him. I'm just saying it's a big statement to make when I need to sit down and have a think about that one.
I think you can make that statement because I think
the only ones that touch him,
numbers-
what? Ronaldo, Hazard, Giggs.
What would you? No, I wouldn't
Hazard's not in it.
I wouldn't even-
Hazard. Forget about Hazard.
I wouldn't even put those guys near him.
Sorry for you.
Even like
No. Listen, I said earlier on, either today or yesterday, there was a tweet, and there was like a top 3, and I chose Salah. I'm not disagreeing at all. It's just let's not jump the gun a little bit. That's what I'm saying.
There's no jumping gun here. There's no jumping gun here. This is seven consecutive seasons of this. There's no jumping gun here.
Individually, I think he's definitely up there in terms of wingers. Probably one of the best probably. I just
One off, for sure.
Yeah, one off. I like to say one off. I don't like to just say the best because
which other winger? But think about which other winger would you compare him to? Because I don't think there is another winger. When you look at his consistency year in year out to score goals and to create goals. Yeah. Obviously, yes, maybe aesthetically may not be pleasing to everyone's eye. So if you put him up against a Hazard, yes, Hazard aesthetically is more pleasing to watch on the eye and ball control than Salah. But then when you look at his output, no other winger compares. I wouldn't even put Giggs there. Ronaldo didn't have enough seasons in the Premier League where he was putting up his high numbers to compare. It was really I think I was saying maybe the last 2 seasons where you start to see the best of Ronaldo. The years prior were development years where we kind of saw more the trickery rather than the end output. So when I think about wingers that have graced the Premier League, and you can even put Bell there too, but even then he had more of a free role at Tottenham.
I don't disagree with that. I think he's
I think it would be very hard to argue that when all is said and done with Mo Salah's career, that he wouldn't be classified as the greatest winger in the Premier League, considering how long he's consistently done it for.
Theo's still fuming, right? He had Mohamed Salah at his club.
No, not at all. No. It's not that, because I could say that about a number of players, and some of them went on to be brilliant players, Kevin De Bruyne, and some of them ended up being Winston Bogarts. So it can go one or two ways. Do you know what I mean? It's either they go really well or they don't go well. I think for what Mohamed Salah's done, not just in England, but when he went abroad as well, and he played in Italy, I think he's done amazing. I think the fact that, and with him, he keeps himself in that Ronaldo kind of physique in terms of he can probably play till, another 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in the Premier League. he could play beyond 40. I don't know. He's one of them. So, but this goes back
It's
to what we were saying.
it's his last season.
But this is what we were saying last. This is what we were saying on the last one, where we were saying that to have a player like that, how can you not try and nail him down to a contract? And
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It's mind-boggling. The fact that he had to come out on Sunday and say that, you know, I know he didn't mean it's his last season. He's basically saying, do you know what I mean? Like if the contract comes on the table, I'm probably going to more than likely sign it as long as the money's right and whatever else. But for him to have to come out and say that tells us that the club aren't even thinking. If that's me and I'm at Liverpool, I'm looking around thinking, who's dropped the ball here? Because we need to get him signed up. But don't know, man. Crazy.
But Virgil said it as well. Virgil said, you know, the situation's the same at the moment in his contract because no one's even spoken to him about it.
Yeah, but
There's a report 2 weeks.
Who's
That's what I'm
there
saying.
now? Like,
It's, our club is just run. It's all they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. We've just forgotten. You know what I feel about the owners. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But, and Trent, there was a report 2 weeks ago about Trent. Apparently, the report said that would stop keeping an eye on the Trent contract. Would what's the word? What's the word now? We lost. I can't think of the word now. I can't think what it said. It's about the eye was like not on it. They didn't realise it was going down that quick. And he's got 1 year left.
They didn't realise.
They lost
God have mercy.
big professional football club.
Like, this is what I'm saying about our owners.
Oh man,
That's football manager behavior. You know, you got a player like, oh wait, damn, his contract's running out. Now we're going to press discuss contract.
and it's too late now. He's already signed with. He's got
it just says Trent sounds with Real Madrid.
Pre-contract already done. You're like, shit, I forgot to sign him up. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy. But Baz, what do you think about Liverpool? Where do you think, how far Liverpool can go this season? Do you feel that with Arne Slot, they are the closest ones to rival City? I know Arsenal done it the last 2 seasons, but do you feel Liverpool are back kind of in that competing for the league stage this year?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've never ever doubted Liverpool because they still have the same competitive players. Yes, there's a new manager, but it's not as if they've lost players. I guess, obviously, Liverpool fans have more or less complained that they haven't strengthened to at least help their case a bit, considering, you know, the manner as to which maybe they kind of fell apart last season, which is disappointing. But they still have the same players who, and it goes back to what Damon mentioned earlier when they talk about Rashford, mentality. When I look at these Liverpool players, they have the mentality of champions. They have the mentality that they want to win games. You can even see some of their reactions when they concede goals or they lose games. You can see it from the likes of Van Dijk or Mo Salah and co. That these guys are unhappy and they know that this is unacceptable and below the standards we expect. So I always knew Liverpool were going to compete, and I think Liverpool once again with City and maybe Arsenal will be the ones challenging City and will be the ones up there again. I don't think they have enough to maybe win it, just because I don't think maybe they have the. It's a weird one because I was going to say I don't think they have the squad depth, but then technically they kind of do have depth in their squad.
I agree.
In parts, yeah.
I think
in parts. So I think they have a good squad. It's just whether they have enough in that final part of the season, maybe when injuries kick in or maybe when players become a bit fatigued, whether they have enough to actually go in the final lap, go across the line and win things, which I don't think they have. But I'll say this, I've been really impressed with Arne Slot and how he's implemented his ideas and ideals on the team. And this not also goes from the start of the season, but pre-season, because I watched a few of their games pre-season.
Yeah.
And I must say they looked very, very impressive. And I was surprised as to how quickly he was able to kind of get his ideas across to the team and how the team were able to kind of try and follow and implement it and implement the ideals he was kind of communicating to them. And once again, this season, I've been impressed in terms of how he's managing the games. There's a lot more control under him than there was under Jurgen Klopp. You can see there's a bit more tactical nuance to parts of his game. And they do look a bit more defensively solid. And I think that comes from the start because they're looking to control games. Because of Klopp's style, we allow teams to kind of exploit the spaces and attack Liverpool a bit more than maybe some of the fans wanted. But I'll say this, 3 games and the pre-season games, he looked very impressive. I think he communicates well, also in the press conferences. Like I said, it's still the same Liverpool players. and we know what these players are capable of. So yeah, there's no surprise that they've looked impressive, and they will be there competing and pushing whoever it is at the top of the league or whoever's challenging for the league title and also the trophies. Liverpool will be there pushing each and every one of those teams for this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I agree with you. I think watching Liverpool pre-season, watching them their first 3 games this season so far, you can see that if they can, for me, the one thing, and I think I said it in the preview, was the injuries for me. If they can keep their squad fit, then they are going to be pushing for the league and pushing for other major trophies because they've got the right manager, they've got the right players in. Obviously, I know. I mean, for Gravenberg, for me, there was all this talk about Zubamendi, but how old's Gravenberg? 22, 23. He's come in. He just looks like he should be playing there alongside McAllister. It looks like he's been doing it for years. He looks so comfortable. And on Sunday, he was everywhere on that pitch. He was he was just everywhere on the pitch.
Best player on the pitch that day.
Yeah, he was brilliant. So we have to credit them for that 100%. He's got things right there. But let's move on. I think we've out talked United. I know Kojo's probably wanted me to move on about 20 minutes ago, but
I told you I'm calm, my guy. I'm not back. When Arsenal lose a game, bring Basil on the show. See the real Basil.
We're moving on to Arsenal now, to be fair, because it's a bit of a strange game. 1-1 at the Emirates, Brighton. Obviously, Raheem Sterling in the stands. Your new number 30 is right there. What went wrong, man? Was it just the fact that the 10 men, the Declan Rice red card, changed the game, or was it just something that tactically was wrong from the start?
It's the same old with Arsenal. That's the thing, and this is why I've been calling for different type of players to what we have. We don't have game winners in our team. Like the way Arsenal win games is a collective, is a team effort. And I've always said if you cut the supply of certain players, or if you stop certain players from playing, Arsenal have nothing because they don't have a game winner in their team. And you look at the difference between the Havertz chance and Haaland chances. Haaland, if Haaland is in that same Havertz position, he puts that away. Look at the goals he scored against West Ham. Look at the goals he scored in the week prior where he scored his hat-trick. And that's the issue. I said Havertz goal was a good finish, but it was made easy because the keeper came out. And I've always said when you don't make the chances easy for Havertz, what does he have? And the answer to that is not very much in front of goal. And then it's the same with our wingers. We don't have clinical wingers, and I've always complained about that. In terms of, you look at Liverpool, where the goals came from. Goal from Salah, 2 goals from Luis Diaz. And even when Mane was there, these guys get you 20 plus goals a season, or goals in the crucial moments in a game when you need it. We don't have that with Arsenal, with the Arsenal players. As much as people love Saka, I've always said Saka isn't the type of player that's going to win you game after game. It's not going to happen. Odegaard, once again, isn't decisive enough. I compare it to De Bruyne hit the post twice in the City games. And I looked at it and said, if that's Odegaard in those positions, he doesn't shoot because he's not decisive enough. And then we have a problem on the left wing is that when Trossard starts, he's not as effective. And then Martinelli, just isn't a good player. And so this was a game where Arsenal were 1-0 up, defended badly, conceded a goal, but didn't have anything to come back into the game. And I've complained. My biggest issue with Arsenal is this. Arsenal are very good front runners, so they take the lead, they kind of know how to control the game. The issue you have with Arsenal is when they're pulled back, so when they're 1-0 behind, or maybe there's an equaliser, they struggle to get their rhythm again and try and go for a goal, which is why, which is the issue. And I've always complained about our players also, our front players, they rarely score more than 1 goal a game. If you go back and check the record, we rarely score more than 1 goal a game. So this game doesn't surprise me because it's the same tactics Arteta's been employing over the last 2 years. And some games it works and some games it's not going to work. And I mentioned earlier, we won against Villa, but we were very lucky against Villa. Because I think if Villa take the lead, we don't win that game. We only won that game because of the chances that Villa missed. And that tells me we're not decisive enough in the final third. And that's the reason why I've called for signings in terms of a different type of winger. A striker is imperative because a striker wins you games. And you see that with City. Look what we're competing against. Haaland gets them those goals and look at the difference that makes. We have just a game winner who can get you goals out of nothing and alleviate that pressure for you. Arsenal don't have that, so they're still relying on everything being built up by a team kind of functioning together. If you break down the function of that team, Arsenal have very little. And that game showed, because I said this, I tweeted, I said, if that's City or that's Liverpool of old, because obviously we're still seeing what this new Liverpool side is like. If that's City or Liverpool of old, even though they go down to 10 men, they still put Brighton to the sword. We've seen it many times. The difference with Arsenal, they just don't have enough when there's that kind of setback. And so that result definitely didn't surprise me. I was like, it's typical Arsenal, things don't function well, then we're not going to get the 3 points. But this is, for me, is where the frustrations of our transfer business annoys me, because we're competing against a ridiculous team of City who have won, I don't even know how many titles in the last, I think it's like 6 in the last 7 years, something as ridiculous as that. And Arsenal felt that, we have enough to compete against that team who you've fallen short in the last 2 seasons. It's just ridiculous. And then I'll quickly touch upon the sending off quickly. I'll just spend about a minute on that. For me personally, it's the most ridiculous decision I've seen. Right? And here's the reason why. I'm not saying for the reasons why I was saying. I think what it shows is that there's a difference between a good referee and an average referee. Because an average referee would say, an average referee doesn't apply common sense or wisdom where it needs to be when applying the rules. They just apply the rules anyhow. Because I'm not being funny. First and foremost, Veltman doesn't even make an attempt to kick that ball. Because if you look at how high his foot goes, he's going straight for Declan Rice, first and foremost. Secondly, it's like the faintest of touches. The ball goes like a yard from Declan Rice. So it isn't as if like he's kicked it away. So for me, a sensible referee or an exceptional referee would say, you know what, I'm going to bring you both, have a word with you, give you a warning. Because for me, it's not the kind of offence that warrants a second yellow card. And I think that's where wisdom needs to be applied. Yes, they can cover themselves and say, yes, we're applying the letter of the rule. Well, that's fair. You use wisdom when you're applying the rule, which is why, for instance, for handball, not every handball is a handball. You assess it and you use wisdom to decide, okay, is this worth, let's say this in a box, is this worth a penalty? Is it not worth a penalty? It goes with the same with the challenge or what happened there. Use wisdom. And I think the referee there just didn't use wisdom when making that decision. And for me, this is why we have so many bang average referees in this league, because they don't apply wisdom with their decisions. And then they go back to say, the rules support what they do, support the decision they make. But for me, I'm just like, it's poor refereeing. That's exactly what it is. But it is what it is. We move on. I personally don't think Arsenal will win the league after watching that game and after watching the Villa game, to be honest.
It's like a pettiness, isn't it? It's like a petty yellow card.
Yeah,
it's like imagine going to like a food outlet and going to get a burger or something, taking a bite out of it and find the hair and like, take it back. Well, you took a bite out of it now. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting your money back. You took a bite.
That's up there with the squatter comparisons there. But no, I agree. I think it was one of those where the referee could clearly say, "Look, listen, I know what you're doing, but don't do it." Do you know what I mean? For me, that's what I would have done. If you apply a bit of common sense, like you said, a bit of like wisdom, just say to him, "Look, come here. What are you doing that for?" Like,
I feel I'll say this. I can understand if Declan Rice has kicked it 2-3 yards away.
He doesn't.
Even then, but I can understand. Then it's like, okay, he's kicked it a distance away. Then I was like, okay, but it's barely gone 60 centimeters from
he brushed his foot. I'm going to bring Kojo in because I know Kojo disagrees with what we're saying, because I can tell. You know, man can't see him, but I can see him. So I'm going to bring Kojo.
Here we go. Go on, then.
I just find this pain funny. Man, it's about violence from me. Get your violence out for this guy, man. Listen, Declan Rice should put himself in that situation. You know why? Because he made a very stupid foul in the first half for that stupid yellow card he got when he just lunged into a tackle that he was never going to get to. He was a bit too overexcited. So then, yes, it's a very harsh yellow card. But once you put yourself in that position, you're in trouble. That's the issue. Where you can argue, of course, about the lack of consistency is when you had a throw and João Pedro licked it all the way to Raya.
Because Arteta was going to get
my guy. Yeah, you can go and say, my guy, you know, he did that. So why are you not booking him? I understand that part of it. But you're not gonna be in that situation if you don't make such a stupid yellow card in the first sense. You know what I mean? And that's where my issue was
I agree with that,
with
but
him.
that don't mean that you got to send him off for the second one because he made a stupid
No,
foul.
I'm
The
not
first
saying
30
you have
minutes.
to send him off. I'm finding it funny, the pain, but I'm not saying you have to send him off. What I'm saying, what I'm saying is,
No, you
I
run the
actually
risk.
do.
You run the risk if
Yeah,
you.
exactly. You run the risk, and I do understand that. I don't necessarily disagree that it was a quite frankly a bogus yellow card. You could have, you know, said, "Come on, guys, let's not do this, please." And I know there's a little sportsmanship a little bit here. You have tapped it out of the way to stop the quick free kick. I get that. Usually, players stand in front of the ball and just don't move, so you don't get to take a quick free kick.
Coach, he
I
hasn't even
understand that.
stopped. He hasn't even stopped a quick free kick. That's what people don't realize.
Yeah,
Veltman
yeah.
is very smart. If you watch the angle, because I watched it, if you look at how he's because usually what happens when people go to kick up. First of all, he's rolled it forward. So when people want to take a quick free kick, they don't roll it forward.
Yeah, you
That's
just,
what they
it's
put
just
it.
there.
They stop it, and then
Yeah.
you pass it. Secondly,
Listen,
where is he? And secondly, no, Coach,
Who
when
was
you
he
look
passing
at
it to as
when
well?
you look at the force as to which he kicked it, where was he blasting that ball to?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he wasn't looking for a player. And then also, secondly, look at Coach. When you look at how his leg is elevated, because when a person kicks a ball, it goes from low to high because you kick through the ball. His leg has gone high, so he hasn't even made an attempt to even kick the ball. And then when you look at his reaction afterwards, he knows, and it's a reaction that, oh shoot, I'm in trouble here. Because when you look at his reaction after, he kind of knows, oh, the referee could kind of slightly send me off of this. If you look at his reaction after. That tells you he knows.
well, like, I have a bit of a different take here. I'm not gonna lie to you because from what I saw from the replays, obviously, yeah. So he rolled the ball at Declan Rice's feet. I think that's the bit that triggered Declan Rice. Like, why are you throwing the ball at my feet? Like, bit of a weird one, but whatever. So obviously he's knocked it out of the way. But when he's rolled the ball on the floor, he's looked up and listen. I've already spoken about players lacking common sense in this generation. He threw the ball forward, hit Declan Rice foot. He looked up. I don't know who he was looking up at, but he looked up past Declan Rice. He sort of put his head up like that. You can't see me, but I'm doing my head up like this. And then he went to go and swing. Now, listen, I don't know Joe Ventman's technique in it. Me personally, I don't really care. He picked up Brighton, but as far as I'm concerned, he went for that ball. In terms of the reaction, he put his hand up like he literally went like, "Guy, what are you doing on the floor?" But he did swing through him, and I'm not gonna lie to you, he caught him there. So look, he could have been someone for that.
I think it was harsh.
Look, you're gonna have to hold that. Listen, he's not playing the North London derby. So
one thing I will say though, the one thing I would say is that Arsenal should have enough to still deal with, like you said before, Arsenal should still have enough to deal with Brighton. And that's
do you know where they dropped the points? I'll be very honest. Forget about the red card for a second. Sorry, where they dropped the points was the substitutions. Because you got sent off, but I understand that you're holding midfielder, but you still got your structure of your back four. So try and maybe
just go 4-4-1. Simple.
This is what I was going to say because he went three at the back. I saw three centre backs, and I was like, okay, what's you're now allowing Brighton to have possession. I've already seen with the new manager already that they're not afraid to keep the ball and find a way through your defense. So that for me was baffling because you're just looking to counter them, and they were not going to allow themselves to be countered on. It was a very baffling decision. I don't know why he went for that one, but there you go.
But I'll say this. No, this is one of my issues with Arteta because at this point I'm like 50-50 about Arteta because I don't think tactically he's that great. I think what he does is he has a setup for like an 11 or 12. Asks Arteta to change things in the game because situational circumstances has changed. Very, very poor. Substitution making, very, very poor, personally. And I look at what Slot's doing and how he's kind of managed the team and making substitutions. And I'll say this. If Slot wins the league, for instance, they're saying this while Slot wins the league this season, what would that say about Arteta and his time at Arsenal?
That Slot's better than him.
It will really but it would also put the spotlight on Arteta and make people realise he's probably not as good as what people think he is. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad manager. I'm saying the progression has been good, but then there's these final moments which kind of determine you winning things and not winning things, or you winning games and not winning games, which you always seem to kind of fall short on. And for me, it's becoming a bit of a problem.
No, I said that before. I said that I think Arteta's hit the ceiling. I don't think he can take this team or any Arsenal team. You could bring in, Isak or whoever. I don't think he's the man to take you to that next level of winning the Premier League. I just don't think he is. And I think we said in the preview that this is really his make or break. He has to either win the league or he's got to go and win something major. He's got to do something with this squad, because I know you don't spend astronomical amounts or nothing like that on transfers, but he's had time now. He's probably had the most time in terms of the top teams, if you want to call it that.
This is his sixth season.
Exactly. So he has to do something with this squad in terms of winning the league, doing something, because you've had the longest time to mold your team to make it your team. Maresca hasn't had that. Slot hasn't had that. Ten Hag has had some time, but he hasn't had as much time as Arteta.
Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he doesn't.
No, I don't think he will. I think Ruud van Nistelrooy is waiting in the rings, but I just think with Arteta, he has to do it now, and I don't think he will do it because, like we said before, he hasn't brought in the striker. He hasn't brought in Isak. He brought in Sterling, which I don't know. I think Sterling's just there because he wants to stay in London, and he wanted a move. Arsenal said, "Yeah, okay, we'll pay 100 grand." Chelsea paid 230 grand a week or whatever. I think it was just convenient for player, losing and Ketia, not really bringing in someone that you want to bring in to try and replace him as well. I think it was a bad bit. I think it was a really bad window for Arsenal. If I'm honest, I really do.
I agree. We got rid of we got rid of players and didn't replace. We still need the players even with what we had, but we got rid of players and haven't kind of replaced the numbers. So in a way, we kind of have less squad depth. We do have less depth than we did last season because we just haven't. We got rid of Smith Rowe and Ketia.
Yeah, I forgot about Smith Rowe.
Reece Nelson's gone alone.
Yeah,
we've got players like El Neni, who was there. I know I barely played the games, but he's gone on a free. And these are, I'm just talking purely on numbers, and then we just haven't replaced them adequately.
It's worrying times, man. Worrying times. Damon, before we move off Arsenal, what do you think about Brighton? Because obviously they saw the game out. They grabbed the point at the Emirates. João Pedro, I think, got the goal. David Raya pulled us some good saves, but they still managed to find a way past him eventually. Can you see Brighton this season going on to do something in this league?
I think they're the biggest team outside of the original top six to push the top four, including Aston Villa as well. I honestly think I put them above Villa now in terms of just because of the football they're playing. I know Emery's probably a better manager, but the football they're playing is just incredible. And 4-0. They beat Man United and they beat draw against Arsenal. That's a decent start of that. And I think what's happening at Brighton is this is what happens when owners back them right and trust the manager is want to improve every single season. Right. You got 6th, 7th here. Here's some more players. Go even one better next season. And they've spent really well this summer, Brighton. Absolutely amazing.
They always do.
The Minty signing was class. Yes, I do think I put them now just above Villa in terms of pushing for that top four. I'm being serious as well when I said top four because Man United, Tottenham, Chelsea, Villa.
Yeah, all inconsistent.
Brighton's better than all of them right now.
Yeah, no, it's right. It's true. It's true. Yeah. I think Brighton have always been that team that love to recruit really, really well. And I think they'll go on to do that. Their model that they use, the scouting model, is brilliant. And they're playing some amazing football. I kind of agree with you with the Villa thing as well, because obviously Villa now in the Champions League, I do think that might be a big stretch for Villa this season. They might surprise me and do something completely out the norm, get to the final, semi-final. Can't see that, but if they did, the longer they're in it, obviously it's going to impact how they finish in the league as well. So I do look at Brighton. They're a weird one because I can see where you're coming from, but it only takes for them to lose 3 or 4 games and they go on a bad run of games, and then you don't see them win a game till after Christmas or something stupid. So we need to see that consistency a bit more with them, I think. But I do see a lot of proof in there that they can definitely finish at least in the top 6, at least. At a push. One team that isn't finishing in the top 6 is Everton. I don't know what to say about this team, man. I can't believe them. I can't believe them, man. They're awful. Everything about them. The fact that they've just brought Amanda Broyer, which I think they theoretically will end up paying for him unless they don't finish in the top 14 places, which is a possibility.
Is that an obligation?
Yeah, I think I'm sure they've got to finish above 14th place, and then they have to pay 30 million for him. But they've got one of the worst. Their medical bills must be mental anyway. Calvert-Lewin's been in the treatment room more than any player that I know. And what did they go and do? They go and bring in another striker that can't keep himself fit. There's a reason Ipswich didn't sign him, because of his Achilles and all the rest of it. So I don't get that. But
And he's not fit till October too. That's the thing.
yeah, so that's another thing. I think we're paying his wages. That was another thing. We're paying his wages until he's fully fit. And that's like a finger in the air moment, because he might not be back in October. He could be back in January. But I think with Everton, I worry about them because they've still got Ashley Young there. They've still got Seamus Coleman. Michael Keane is not a good defender. James Tarkowski is not a good defender. They've lost Onana. I remember doing the previews and saying that Onana is going to be a big loss for them. And I think he's scored back-to-back now games for Villa.
Yeah.
I don't know where they go, man. I'm going to come to Kojo first for this one, but I don't know where did they go in terms of. I mean, realistically, they could actually get relegated and go into that new stadium next season in the Championship.
I think this is their year, man. I think the year is done.
Same year.
Yeah, and the summer was damning because they lost an important player and they didn't improve in any signing. I know it's hard when you lose a player like that, but the least you can do is try and find a replacement that logically makes sense in terms of, maybe just closing the gap in loss of quality, just making it a bit minimal. They haven't got close to Onana's quality. Not even close. Sorry, it's really bad to see. And the end of that game speaks volumes, because I think the first 86 minutes was just pure, I don't know, energy, passion, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what was driving them through. But what you saw at the end was just literally what we've been saying about Everton for the last 2-3 years. They've been hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
They've been hanging on by a thread. And Sean Dash came and gave them some sort of big boost last year that had them finding something. Decore was scoring, or Nana was being sensational in midfield for them. But they've lost that. And I genuinely think there's nothing that's going to save them now. I genuinely think they're getting relegated this year, and I think they're starting the Championship in a new stadium. It's a shame because you're leaving for them anyway, not for me, but it's a shame for them because you're leaving what you call your home after God knows how many years, and you're going to a new, how is it, maybe 50,000 seater stadium, and you're starting it with a relegation. It's a horror show. It's a horror show. But it's what we speak about with other clubs. It's a history of bad ownership.
Yeah.
It's a history of bad signings. It's a history of just, no solid structure in terms of, or ideas of how to buy players. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you can't rely upon. With all due respect, your next striker is Beto.
Yeah, poor.
And then you go on loan Broja, and if you finish 14th or above, you have to pay £30 million. Listen to the deals they've made. This is not good business.
Oh, they remember the Schneidlin deal. I remember pulling off a list not too long ago. They paid some mad money for players. Even Iwobi.
Yeah.
I know Iwobi went on to sort of help them in times when they were nearly relegated, but I'm sure it was like 45 million. Like,
yeah. And they made a loss on him as well when he left, right? He made a loss to when he went to
100%. And it's not just that as well. It's the hiring and firing the managers, paying them
crazy
up as well.
It's crazy to think that once upon a time they had Ancelotti.
I just about to say, Ancelotti was there. I think he must have thought, what is this? he must have looked across the road over Stanley Park and thought, I can see like a big stand over there. Oh, it's Anfield. Why am I here? Do you know what I mean? What am I doing at this club when there's Anfield there?
Church service on that Sunday when Madrid came calling was special. He was delighted.
He didn't even wait around. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure as well. I'm pretty sure
He did the
left with-
Rubinho mistake, didn't it? He did it Rubinho mistake.
He
You know
done
when
it.
Rubinho went to
Oh, yeah,
Man
that's-
City and he thought he joined Man United.
Yeah, he must have
He
thought.
didn't know there were another team in Manchester.
He must have thought I thought I was signing for Liverpool. What is this? But you know, this is the thing with Everton. They've been badly managed on and off the field. They still haven't found a buyer. I don't think. I know one of the Palace owners, or someone that's connected to Palace, is keen on trying to buy some sort of stake at Everton. But just the fact that they're still in that point now where they don't have someone who's really interested in buying the club. The stadium, I think, was delayed anyway. They should have been in the stadium this season, but it got pushed back a year. It's just a mess. It's an absolute, and even the results now, you can't see where I remember saying it again in the preview that we did. You can't see where their goals are coming from. They don't look like they're going to score a goal. So it's alarming. It's alarming for them. I want to talk obviously about Calvert-Lewin, because he did score a goal, but is he good enough? I'm going to come to Damon for this. Is he good enough? Is Beto good enough? Is Armando Broja good enough to be at Everton? Are these strikers really going to pull up trees for this club and keep them in the Premier League? Are they not the oldest club to be in the Premier League or sort of top division?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So for them to go down, it'd be mental. So
For the future of him and the future of possibly his family, if he does have a family in the future, I'm glad he's got a modelling career. Put it that way, because it needs to bring the peas in at some point if they go down. Because if they go down, no one's signing him, and he's championship player. So
the worrying thing is, I think someone would, because we were linked with him in the summer. So I think someone.
you're the only one that would buy him, because at the end of the day, you just see someone available and you get him anyway, don't you? So
That's what
I mean, you are literally marketing, like people. You know, people that market and advertise things. You are the perfect customer for them. You know, all they got to do is say 50% off, and that's it. Chelsea down there, Aldi alley, middle of Aldi.
we're talking about Everton right now. How do
You
we
are
get on
there.
I made one little comment about Chelsea. We were getting all the daggers are out for me already.
Put it this way,
We're getting on to Chelsea in a minute.
I'm enjoying both. Downfalls, if I'm honest. I mean, Sean Dyche went into the interview. Liverpool fan Sean Dyche, by the way, went into the interview room and said, "I'm going to take you down like Chris Brown." And funnily enough, the owners thought the owners are R&B fans. They just thought he was just talking about Chris Brown himself, but he actually was taking him down. And it's finishing off Rafa Benitez's job, I think, which is perfect.
Do you think he stays though? I don't think he stays. You know, I think they got to sack him eventually. They have to get rid of him.
They probably have to, but
I don't know if they can afford to. I don't know if they can afford to do
yeah.
that. Do you know what I mean? Because they've got. Don't forget, I'm sure I read that before the last season ended or when this season started. There's more points deductions coming for them as well. So I don't know.
Give it to them next season at Championship.
Well, I think they're going to get it this season. I really do, and I think if that's the case, I don't know if they can sack him. But
no chance.
But if they did sack him, Basil, who could you see coming in to do that? Is it another Big Sam? Is it Big Sam again, part 2 or part 3 now?
Honestly,
I don't know.
I think that's the most worrying part about Everton, is that even if you do sack Dash, who is available to manage that team? Because you can't go for glamour. Because
Ten Hag.
They don't have the players. Wow. Yeah. So then you honestly, it's worrying. I honestly don't know who they go with. I'm surprised. The thing is this, I was surprised when Dash came in, when he kept them up. And then I was surprised they kept Dash for this season because I couldn't see him doing it any better this season and waited for them last season. But at the same time, it's like, well, there's no one out there for Everton. They're not a big draw for any managers. I can understand why they've kept Dash there, but it's really worrying at that club. Really, really worrying.
One manager I could see, and know he was linked with them at some point as well. And I'm not saying it's the answer at all. I think he might even still get them relegated. Would be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because I think he was one name I think that's been linked.
Would he take it? Do you think?
No, I think he would. You know, no, I think
I don't think he would.
No way.
I think he would. You know,
No way.
I don't know if he still does, but I know he's still in the Cheshire area. So
I
He,
think,
do you know what I
he
mean?
he's rejected a lot of clubs. He's not going to Everton. I promise you. No
I'm
way.
okay.
I agree with Kojo. I agree with
Yeah.
Kojo.
Well, I know a lot of men would have said Carlo Ancelotti would not be at Everton, and when he was stood outside the dugout, he was there. I'm just saying, like he was there. So
Sometimes when you
Theo,
want everything, sometimes you want to. You know when you play FM, you've had a team for 20 years. You're like, hey, let me
Yeah,
go
it's
and
like,
do a
let me
little
tell you,
sightseeing
I'm
elsewhere.
trying to
Yeah,
improve.
man. Yeah, man. Every now and then, man. You know what I mean,
you got to test the water somewhere
Oli
else.
can't do that. Oli can't afford that. He can't afford that. No way.
Ollie's waiting for Chelsea job when you're in manager and inevitably get sacked.
We're sticking with him. We're sticking with Maresca. He's fine. But no, Everton, I think, are in trouble. I thought, Bournemouth, let's credit them as well. They played really well, saw the game out, got their 3 points, got their 3 goals. And again, another team that seems to be playing some half decent football at the Vitality. So I'm interested to see how those kind of clubs get on this season. I know obviously Man City and Liverpool and all the rest of it, everyone's going to be focusing on that. But Ipswich are another team I'm looking forward to watching a lot of this season, and Bournemouth another one. See how they get on without Solanke in their team. So credit to them for doing that. But let's talk about Chelsea's slip up against Crystal Palace, because I can't believe it. I can't believe. In fact, I can believe it. Why am I saying I can't believe it? I've been watching this team for 2 seasons now. Nothing surprises me anymore. But I'm gonna come to Basil for this one. I don't want to start on this one. It shouldn't be fair for me to start on this. But I don't know if you got to see the game or you got to see some of the highlights or
Yeah,
just.
yeah,
But
so
it was a game that kind of felt like it could easily have been 3 points to Crystal Palace in the end. Started the game well, but we fizzled out very quickly. What was your thoughts?
I think you described it perfectly well. You started well. I think you played decent football. You got the goal, and I thought you would get more goals. And then as soon as Palace got the goal, um, the issue that I have with Maresca is that he doesn't, and I don't know whether it's because he's working with too many players or whether it's a Maresca issue. Time will tell what the issue is there. You lost control of the game.
Yeah.
And there were so many gaps for Palace to exploit because it seems that you're just hell bent on trying to bomb forward or trying to attack. Like you left so many gaps for Palace to just exploit. And every time Palace won that ball back, there was always options out wide, always options in space in the middle for them to kind of play through you. And it's quite worrying because even though you signed so many players, Chelsea are still defensively weak. And I can understand why, because you don't have a settled back four in terms of there's players who aren't good enough. There's players who are good enough, but just haven't played long enough with each other to kind of find a proper rhythm. And yeah, every time Palace were going forward, I thought, oh, they looked like scoring. And the thing, Chelsea are an enigma because I just don't know what I'm going to get from them because they have the players. It just depends on what performance are we going to get on the pitch. Are they going to win by a large margin or are they going to drop points like they did yesterday, or are they going to lose again? I just don't know what I'm going to get with Chelsea this season, just because we don't have a settled squad that we can see moving forward over the next couple of months. City, we know their squad. Arsenal, we kind of know the squad. Liverpool, we know the squad, or at least the starting lineup, most of the players, so we can kind of assess, or make an assumption and an assessment as to what we're kind of going to get moving forward from them. Because with Chelsea, we don't have that. It's very difficult for us to kind of decipher that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got Maresca's got problems on his hands that are going to occur because he's just got too many quality players to work with, and I don't know how he's going to. I say this every week, I know, but I just don't know how he's going to manage that situation because you have Palmer's is set on to start. Neto's playing sometimes. Madueke obviously scored a hat-trick, so he wants to give him a chance. Mudryk is still there coming on. And Cuckoo is still there, João Felix is still there. So it's like, how on earth do you manage all of these players? And then obviously your striking issue is a problem because if Jackson's not scoring tap-ins, he's not scoring goals. I mean, he had a great chance, and it's so ironic because like I said, the same guy who was having a go at John Obi Mikel has a chance and can't put the ball in the back of the net. And I'm like, well, this is vindicating everything that the man was saying about you.
Exactly.
But then I said, if it's not tap-ins or scrappy goals, you're not getting much from him. So I don't know I think Chelsea could get top four. They might not get top four. I just don't know with this club. Personally, I just don't know.
It's a fair assessment because I think I kind of I'm gonna. Damon's gonna have to shoot.
Yeah, in a second, yeah.
Yeah,
Keep going though.
you say.
I'll
No,
give my
no,
thoughts on Chelsea though.
yeah, give your thoughts before you jump off.
He made a very good point there about what predicting Chelsea. You can't predict Chelsea right now, and it reminds me of like when we played FIFA 99, FIFA 98, and when simming matches came about. You know when you used to sim matches instead of playing them, I used to sim them, and I didn't know what result was going to happen. That's what I feel like is going to happen in Chelsea. Just simming matches.
You're on form tonight, but yeah, it's true.
You know, I bought all the players that I needed to in the transfer window, and I'm sure like FIFA 98 or FIFA 99 when I used to sim them, and you sim the match and you see it all play out, and you're like, fucking, I lost 1-0 to fucking Wolves. What's that about? Next game, you're beating like Real Madrid 3-0.
Yeah,
It is simming matches now with Chelsea, and like you said, I said before, we did the Chelsea preview. I was on with you with the Chelsea preview. You've got a talented team now. The attacking force, you've got some brilliant attacking players. Neto, Nkunku, Felix coming in, even Sancho coming in as a talented player. Cole Palmer, Mediuki. You know, even Jackson's an half decent striker at the times. But yeah, his defence, like Pastor just said, his defence is nothing there. Your midfield's strong. If you keep your Enzo, Caicedo, Lavia, that's a strong midfield.
yeah.
Let's be absolutely honest, it's a strong midfield. It's a midfield, you know, that I even like. But your defence, yeah, madness. You have to rely on scoring goals. But if you're not scoring goals freely, then you're going to be drawing or losing games.
I agree with that. I do. I think my thing is, I think you got to remember Nkunku was injured for the best part of last season. Felix has just come back after a loan 2 years ago. Mudryk will not be here, but come next summer, 100% he'll be gone. We've got rid of Sterling. Obviously, we brought in Pedro Neto as well. So I do get there's a lot of players to keep happy, but I think there's enough games. You know, you got to think about the Conference League, got to think about the FA Cup, League Cup. And I know some of these are going to want to be playing week in, week out, but they must have come to this club and be told, look, this is what's happening. You're going to be on that sort of rotational thing. If they've come here and they've signed and not realised that that's what's happening, then there's a problem with their agent or them or whoever's signing their deals for them or whatever. There's a problem because they've got to come in and be expecting to be rotated. You know, it's going to be a game where Neto's not going to be playing, but Felix is going to be playing, or you know, Cole Palmer is probably the only real start at the moment that you kind of think, yeah, we need to make sure he starts. The midfield, again, there's going to be question marks. Enzo looks like he's going to be the one that's always going to be in that midfield. Caicedo, Lavia, whichever one's fit. Obviously, Lavia, again, missed all of last season. So I'm seeing positives from this season so far, based on what I saw under Graham Potter, what I saw under Pochettino. So far, I'm positive, and I know we didn't get 3 points on Sunday, but I'm positive because I can see little things happening with the club, with the team, little link-up play. Things are looking nice. We smashed Wolves. I know it could have been a 6-6 game or a 7-6 to Wolves, but to be fair, but we still kind of saw the game out and we got to kill the game as such. We should have done that against Palace. I'm going to be 100% real. We should have taken those chances, and I think I haven't listened fully to the John Obi Mikel, the Jackson episode yet, but from what I did hear, he's spot on. Because if I think I listened to the reaction because I think he followed it up with sort of like the after the Instagram post or whatever it was. He's spot on because he's not. Jackson's talking like he's banging goals for fun. Like his goals are tap-ins or when we play against 9 men, and he's scoring hat-tricks against them, and that's his level. His level's not taking on defenders, bullying the defenders. He's getting bullied by defenders off the ball. You're the striker. You're meant to be bullying the defender to score the goal. So I don't see enough about him. We need a striker. I do think we need a solid defender, but I'm happy to see how the defender. We got to give this. Remember, it's only the 3rd game of the season, so we got to give this defense time. And there is a consistent back four in terms of who we're playing. Tosson hasn't really had a game. That's someone who Everton should have picked up for free and got rid of Jareth Branthwaite, to be fair. But
I forgot we signed him. But I think can I even touch on Tosson? I think once again bad decision making because you're playing regularly for Fulham. there was no way he was going to be a starter in that Chelsea team.
Yeah,
And
you
when they
said
got
that.
Fofana, who spent a lot of money on. Colwell was there, who like managers seemed to like. You should have just gone Newcastle. Should have just
Yeah,
gone Newcastle. Would
yeah,
have been guaranteed games. Obviously, Newcastle have owners with a lot of money, so at some point you're hoping it. Well, there's the ambition that Newcastle want to be where the top four teams are. So obviously you can be part of that project and be rewarded. So it was very bad decision making for him to go to Chelsea. But yeah,
yeah. I agree with that. I think he's one of those players that maybe again though. I'm wondering his agents must have said to him, or the conversations he had at Chelsea, they must have said, look, we've got Colwell, we've got Fofana, we've got Badiashile, we've got Desazi all ahead of you. You're coming here just to make up numbers, and maybe we can sell you for a profit in 12 months like we've done with a couple of the players already this season. I don't know what the plan is, but yeah, I don't know, man. I want to get Kojo's thoughts as well on the game and obviously Chelsea, but what do you think with Chelsea so far in terms of how they've played, and do you see us getting into the top six? I don't want to say top four because I think we can get there, but that's just me being wishful.
You can get into the top six because you've got bundles of goals in you, but there's one area that Maresca needs to be brave, and quite frankly, that's dropping one of Enzo or Casado. I think when Basil was talking about Palace finding gaps in your midfield, we can relate to a lot of clubs and their midfields, and it's just it's not even a lack of balance because you can have a balance there, but it seems like the structure is destroyed when you've got two midfielders who are just not defensively aware. Caicedo is not someone that's going to try and sit there. He can be of a box to box, can carry a little bit. Enzo is a brilliant passer of the ball, a bit of a deep line playmaker, if you would, but he hasn't got the defensive prowess to help your backline when they need it. Now, obviously, I know Lavia's injured again, isn't he? So you
Yeah, yeah,
can't call upon him. But I think that's why you signed Renato Vega. That's a
yeah.
defensive midfielder who can also play centre back, play left back.
Well,
But
you say that, but Gusto's also injured, and so is Reece
oh, well,
James. So
there you go. So, but this is what we're talking about. Then the recruitment was lovely, but did you sign in all the places that you needed to? Number one, and number two, I think he needs to be brave, man. I think he needs to be brave and drop under in the midfield because we keep talking about Caicedo and Enzo and why it's not working. It's like a Gerard Lampard thing. You had two brilliant players, but for some reason it didn't click. And I think it was clear for everyone that maybe they needed to maybe change to a 4-3-3 and put maybe Hargreaves or Carrick
yeah,
there, someone that just drops a bit more so you can, have that structure and let them two do what they do best. And if when Lavia's there, it's great because when Lavia played earlier this season, you saw Lavia's quality.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But if he's not there and these two are not working, you got to be brave to drop one of them. And I'm not saying put Enzo 10 either because
No, that never worked.
exactly. So I think that's where your big issue is because I think you scored the goal, you're doing well, and you gave them a sniff to score a quality goal, and after that, you didn't get
Really
control of
good
the
goal.
game. Yeah. So I think that's where Chelsea's biggest issue is for me. He just needs to be brave. If he's brave enough to tell 20 players that you're not going to play, he should be brave enough to tell one of the two you're not playing today because I need to keep the balance. And players won't mind when they get results because it'll make sense.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
until then, you're gonna have the same issues, and you're just gonna hope that you can smash teams. You won't play Wolves every week. Gary O'Neill is got his Wolves to play an open system, so your goals were coming because the fact that they were very open. It was gung ho versus gung ho.
Yeah, yeah.
Palace were a
but
lot
I
more
guess
structured, and they got their goal, and then they played well.
yeah, but I guess this also thing. There's also the question that it'll be interesting to see what the Chelsea structure is upstairs because we've known in the past, for instance, if Maresca goes on a course of saying to a whole bunch of players, "You're not in my plans," or you're only going to play maybe 20% of games in the season. I'm only going to use the League Cup. Back in the day, players would have had most of the power and would have done everything in their will to let the ball know that, listen, this guy has to go. So it'll be interesting to see what the dynamics is in Chelsea now with these owners. If he makes a whole bunch of players unhappy and how they manage that and what the dynamic is between players on the board and then how that starts to filter to Maresca, if there is that dynamic at Chelsea, because we've known before when Roman was there, certain players could go up to him and say, "Listen, I'm not happy about this situation," and we started to see just the kind of power players had. So it'll be interesting to see what the dynamic is. I don't think it is that at Chelsea, but it'll be interesting to see what that looks like if it ever comes to that situation.
I think Maresca's got, at the moment, he's got the board and the board on board. Literally, he's got them on board, because I think the way that he walked in and he was able to bring in Dewsbury Hall, another player that I just kind of don't really understand why we brought him. So he's come in, and I know most managers do that. They bring in a player that they're familiar with. You know, that's not uncommon. But the fact that he was able to come into Chelsea and do that is a bit mad, because normally, from what we've seen already with Tuchel, with Potter, with Pochettino, they were all kind of like, no, we here's my shopping list of the players I want, and they were like, yeah, that's cool, but we're bringing these players in. So he kind of, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I feel like he's got a bit more of a seat round the table. And maybe that's the owners and the board trying to go through a little bit of a different direction and, you know, loosen things a little bit, so the manager's got a bit more of a say in what happens. But I feel like for him to be able to say, right, Sterling, you're not in my plans, and the board to be like, yeah, okay, cool, we'll make sure he's out your team. We'll find him a team to go to. Chilwell, I think he's meant to be talking to clubs in Turkey, because I think their window's still open.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's kind of like, look, these men are not in the team for a certain reason. I'm not playing them. They're going to be sat on the books collecting money at this club. It's up to you. If you want them here and you want them to do that, that's fine. But they're not in my plans. So you sort that. I'm going to go and train this team that I do want, and that's it. And I think, and it sounds a bit mad, but I feel like with Italian managers, they're a bit like that. They're just. I remember with Conte as well. He's like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? What it is what it is. If you don't like that, then tough. It's my way, and that's it. And if it don't work, then you better fire me or you better sack me. I'm thinking back to the press conference for Spurs. Do you know what I mean? So the Italians don't give a shit. They don't care. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, and if you don't like it, tough. That's it. So it'd be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to it. It was a really good goal by Palace as well. Eze, another one who I think will be on the way out maybe next summer, but really good goal from him. Very, very quickly, I do want to talk very, 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 very quickly, just very quickly, 2 minutes on Man City, because they are the team that is unstoppable.
So
They are
sorry.
unstoppable. They are
As
unstoppable.
Pep said, pre-season's over now.
Yeah,
The real season starts out. I need to get that guy out of this league, because
Do you know how
some of the
cheeky that
things
is?
very cheeky, very, very cheeky.
The man said, listen, it was playtime. Playtime's over. The bell
Playtime's
just
over,
went.
imagine.
Get back to class. We've got business to do. It's again, City are just City, and this is without Rodri. I don't think Rodri didn't even play for them this weekend. Again, just gone. So Gundogan coming back in, I think, is a really good signing for them. But I wanted to get your thoughts. So I did a preview on that before I went away, but I didn't get your thoughts on it. So I'll go to Basil first. Gundogan coming back in, I feel is a very, very good appointment for C.
Oh, it is, because it's someone who's been successful with them. He knows. Like I said, you don't need to embed a player. Like for them, when they bought Nunez,
Yeah.
they're having to kind of wait for him to develop. This is someone who knows the club, who's been part of the fabric of the success, and will come in and make a big impact immediately. So that's a very smart sign. It's still the same. Even if the key players are injured, they know how to function with them. So people say Rodri, that team is so good, they don't need Rodri for a good number of games, because the team is just so good.
Just
And
click.
obviously, when he's there, obviously adds something different. But obviously, like I said, it makes no difference. De Bruyne can be injured for 3 months; they will still function without De Bruyne. From memory, I don't think Foden even started that game.
Nope.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Foden, who was player of the season last season, has yet to really kick a ball for them. And then Haaland, this guy, we need him injured, man, because this can't continue happening. We need him injured.
Hey, if he was laughing, but it's facts.
Because
True.
I could just about accept the fact he scored a hat-trick last week, but then to do it again against West Ham, And the funny thing is, West Ham, I find it criminal when teams try to play a high line against Manchester City, knowing that Haaland feeds off Making runs off the last defenders.
Yep.
It's insanity. But Haaland, once again, like I said, say what you want as him as a footballer and his ability or his ability on the ball with his feet, but he's just like the ultimate striker. Like his finishing is just sensational. Yes, he'll miss a lot of chances, but I like him because it doesn't. Even though he can miss 10 chances in the game, it doesn't deter him from still putting himself in the same position and attempting things.
Yeah.
So in his mind, I can miss 10 open goals. I will still score 2 goals in a game.
Yeah. And that's
his mentality.
That's all people are going to remember as well, especially with Haaland. If he scores a hat trick or he scores 2 goals, but he's missed 10, no one remembers them 10 misses.
No one remembers exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guy is he's ruthless and unbelievable. And also kudos to him in terms of the quality of this finish. And that's what I've always, when I talk about strikers, I've always say that's the difference, the quality of finishing. And his quality of finishing in those games is just exceptional.
100%, man. 100%. Kojo, you agreeing?
Unfortunately. No,
Listen,
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. The hat trick rattled me because I didn't like. I've always known West Ham to be a bit of a up and down game for them. They have up and down games, but they tend to win Man City no matter what. But the hat trick, the quality of the goals, the quality of the finishes rather. I need to specify the finishes. He's unstoppable. He's a monster. He's a monster. That's why I told people, I know he's 15 million FPO. That's unheard of. But my guys, just put him in there.
Oh no,
I'm sorry.
Listen,
Throw him in.
No, Coach, listen. I've had to, because I didn't have him for the first 2 game week. No,
what are you doing, man? What are you doing, man?
It was too expensive. I've had to play my wild cards. I've had to play my wild cards. I can't do no more.
Shame on you.
Do you know what though? I did forget to make him captain the first week, and last week. I was pissed, so I made him captain. No, I made him captain last week and just gone. I was gonna triple captain him as well, and I should have done it, but I never, because I'll
tell you what. If there's any Southampton fans listening, cover your ears right now, because I'm telling you right now that triple captain is gonna hit hard when he faces your defense. My goodness!
Come on, listen.
Haaland versus Bednarek is a battle that I want to see for my own purposes. Yeah. Believe me,
and we will get to see it. As long as he stays fit, that's the key thing we see. They haven't got Alvarez now, so they have to keep Haaland and wrap him in cotton wool. Maybe play, I don't know, I'm trying to think who can play maybe as a false 9, but they got to keep him wrapped up cotton wool, 100%. Otherwise, it could be a long season for them. But we never.
They'll still find a.
They get goals on Foden. They got Foden there. Doku, if he can actually get the ball into the box. Greenish. You know what I think about Doku already, man.
Facts.
He's on the time is ticking. The fraud watch is ready, but yeah.
You know what I was annoyed about? You know what I was annoyed about your club? I know we're talking about C, but your club annoyed me because I took the risk of putting Neto in for Bernardo Silva, and Bernardo Silva got an assist, and Neto got a yellow card. Like, what are we doing here?
Do you know what? I wouldn't even put. The only Chelsea player I've got is Nkunku. And not even Palmer, because I don't think Palmer's going to hit the levels that he did last season. I think the pressure.
I think assist-wise, I think we'll get a lot of assists.
Yeah, goals, I think the assist.
Goals.
I don't think the goal. Even assist. I don't know. I just think because he's going to be playing a lot more central now. I think as well, because obviously if Madueke carries on the form he's playing, he's going to be occupying the right side. But I just think with Cole Palmer, the expectation, especially from Chelsea fans, is that he's going to be the one to if Jackson isn't scoring, which he's not going to be. Cole Palmer's got to be the next one in line to be scoring goals, and I think there's a lot of pressure to put on a player that is in his second real full season, and he set himself a lovely benchmark last season. But it's almost like Kanye. When I talk about Kanye West, I still think his first album is the best album. So as much as I like all the other albums, nothing's going to touch that first one. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the benchmark. Yeah. You set that benchmark, you got to be able to hit it every single time, and I don't think you can, because you set yourself that height. But maybe a bit different in football. I don't know.
No, that's a fair point. To be fair,
different story for a different day. But I'm gonna wrap up there because I know we've been about an hour 40. It's a bit mad. But
can I also just make a quick mention?
Go on.
Did Tottenham also lose on the weekend too?
They did. No, do you know what we're gonna do next week? We're gonna start with Tottenham.
Okay, no, I just wanted to clarify. I wasn't too sure.
Yeah. Sorry, Tottenham fans.
Basil's a terrible person. Terrible.
You know what? He wasn't he was not letting this podcast episode go without saying that. But what was the score actually? No, I missed that game.
2-1.
Is that Newcastle?
Yeah,
was
Newcastle
on
always
the-
beat them.
It was on the same time as Chelsea, I think. So I missed it, but I think it was Isak. Isak got the winner, I think, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yeah, it was exactly.
Your boy Basil, your boy that should be at the Emirates right now.
Why? Why should he be at Emirates, man?
Listen, they need
Because
some.
we did, as Cristiano Ronaldo said, we deserve it.
You deserve.
I think I deserve. Listen, you just sold your greatest number 14 of all time. Have some
Man
shame, man.
said-
Oh, get out of here,
Man said Eddie Henry. Man's like Eddie Henry. I hear it. But now, everyone, thank you very much. If you're watching this after the live stream, as I said, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the video, make sure you hit that link in the description as well. And we will be back next week. Kojo, Basil, Damon, obviously when he was here, thank you as well, as always. We'll be back, man. Thank you very much. We'll be back next week.